Good afternoon. Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome to Angels Speak. I'm Teri Angel, and I'm bringing you a message from the angels every day. So as they give them to me, I write them down and share them in written form, and now they want them spoken. So I will be reading the blog that was written last night. And welcome to everybody that's tuning in. And we have Blue with us in the audience here on Zoom. So Blue, thank you so much for coming in, for being with me and holding my hand during this difficult reading today. And I want to give just a little disclaimer to anybody who may be watching. This is about abuse. So if it's something that you feel you'll be triggered by, then you might want to consider just not watching it or listening to it. But if you think you could benefit from it, then please stay around because the angels have some beautiful words for us. Okay. So this blog, hold on, let me get it up here. I'm sorry. I don't like being so discombobulated. And Deirdre is here. Thank you both ladies for being on here with me today. Let me see if I can do what I did the other day. Yay, there we go. All right. So the name of this blog is Do Not Hurt Others. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. And that's by Carl Jung. One of my wise mentors once told me, wounds from burns can be healed, but the ones created by the sharp tongue leave an eternal scar. Do not hurt others. Having been on the receiving end of a verbal assault, which I've written about, and I call it verbal rape, I understand very well what it feels like to stand there, wishing the floor would open up to provide an escape. This particular experience that I had was so demeaning that I never wanted to show my face in public again. It came from someone who had professed to love me and honor me, quote, until death. Well, that was the death of that relationship, and it happened in a very public place with him blocking the door, so there was no walking away. I could only stand in shock and endure the ordeal in front of friends and strangers. The wounds I thought would never heal were eventually turned into wisdom, and with time, I was able to remove the bandages that covered my battered heart. It was a life-changing event, and I promised myself that I would never inflict that kind of pain on anyone, that I would use my words to lift people up and not tear them down. I also promised to make wiser choices and use my intuition more fully. It taught me that the words we use with ourselves and with others matter. There is great consequence in the way we speak. Dear angels, abuse in any form is one of the worst things we can do as humans. So many of us have felt the sting of harsh and cruel words and acts of violence. Please give us some insight on healing the hurt in our heart. Dear ones, in your world of contrast, there will be those individuals who, for various reasons, strike out. And unfortunately, those who are on the receiving end of the abuse. It is all about power and control. It is about those who have suffered abuse, continuing the cycle and hurting others. Should you find yourself in a situation where someone is being abusive in any form, realize that it is not your fault and nothing you did created it. We are there for your protection and want your safety. Thus, we ask you to allow us to guide you to a safe place. The verbal abuse leaves scars, although they cannot be seen. Love yourself through the healing process. Allow others to love you and support you as well. You are not alone. Move beyond the fear and take your power back. Know that you are worthy to be loved in a healthy way. If you are a friend who has been confided in, listen compassionately, love unconditionally, and encourage your loved one to seek safety. Dear ones, no one deserves to live in fear. It is not your job to try to fix another being. That is their path. And as much as you may be invested in caring for them, you have the responsibility to yourself to take care of you first. Your wounds will heal, dear ones. And when they do, you will find yourself stronger for having endured the fire, being able to forgive and move forward. We are here always, especially in those moments when you feel so alone. Reach out your hand and we will hold it and lead you out of the darkness. Thank you, angels. Today, I promise to never again give my power away, but to stay immersed in love and to be there for anyone who needs that loving compassion. I included in this blog an 800 number to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Hopefully, none of you listening will need that, but if you do have someone that confides in you and shares abuse with you, please feel free to refer back to this blog or write that number down so you have it. We have a great audience. And thank you, Deirdre, and thank you, Blue, for being on here with me. Like I said, this was a difficult one. It's one that took me years to finally work through to a place of acceptance and a place of forgiveness, and to really understand more fully what my lesson and my blessing was from that experience. So I want to say who's here: Annie Seven, Catherine Kovacs, Kathy Hand, Auntie Jean Lorio, Isabel Reese, Prachetta, Debbie Schmoley is here. Monsi's here on the other side, she says. And Prachetta said, just needed to hear this. Oh, Prachetta, thank you. Thank you for that. So ladies, any of you want to say anything today? Deirdre, can you unmute?
Yeah. When you were talking about like, well, I thought of Kathy at the end because, you know, like she needs to stop being so much in Colin's business. I mean, she's a mom, but she's got to take care of herself first. And that's what the message was. You know, stressing over what choice he might make isn't good for her, you know. I thought that was speaking to her.
Thank you. Thank you. And Kathy is listening. Yeah, anytime we're giving our power away, and one way that we do give it away is to focus outside of ourselves. We have to take care of ourselves first. That was one of the main lines that reached out and was right in my face. And I knew this when I was going through the abuse. This wasn't the only abuse I've suffered at the hands of somebody in this lifetime, but this was the one that could have broken me because it was so inhumane. So yeah, anytime you're giving your power away to somebody else, you're not standing in your divine authority. And what they said to us was, take care of yourself first, which we know that, don't we?
Now it do. It took me decades. I just recently, in the time I have been like with the angelic river family. I always look for somebody else to. I mean, I not so much then, but most of my life, I thought that I needed a partner to complete me. And it's what was insane is I was the one getting the checks, you know. But it doesn't make sense, and affairs of the heart never really do. So yeah, it
Mhm.
was a hard lesson. Why it affected me so much when you were reading it, because I've been there a couple of times.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
guess it takes a few times for the universe to smack you up until you get it.
Yeah. That's the whole thing, Deirdre, is if we're not getting the lesson, then we're
Mhm.
going to continue getting the lesson until it clicks, until the light bulb goes on.
And then when the
Yeah.
light bulb goes on, you wrote like, "Thank you, universe." Finally.
Yeah, exactly. Because, there was no physical abuse in this particular relationship that I was talking about. But I have been in those relationships where I feared for my life,
Mm-hmm.
and came very close to ending my life because of that relationship. It was that abusive. But I finally got the message. It's like, I know the angels were just celebrating because it was like, she finally got it. But yeah, it's not easy. Dealing with abuse is one of the hardest things that we go through. And it's one of, like they said, it's one of the worst things we can do.
Mm-hmm.
It's hurt people hurt people.
Thank you.
And yeah, that's what we have to realize, that if we can just all focus on our spirit beings,
Mhm.
then our spirit beings are pure love and they don't hurt other people. So if you're being hurt, and maybe you think of that person as somebody that's spiritual or religious, or believing in a higher power, look at what's really going on and see where that hurt is coming from. Who else is on here? I can't see all the participants.
I see nothing.
I think I've got it on, yeah, I'm gonna put it on gallery. There we go. Blue's on here.
Where are
My
they?
darling friend Blue, did you have any words you would like to share with us today?
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, it's interesting when you were saying, if we don't learn the lesson, it'll keep coming, and then it'll get to the point where you have to deal with it, or I guess the old saying is make it or break it. So with that said, we've all gone through our various abuse, and that's the only way that you can acquire your personal power, is to stand up to that. If you know that someone is taking advantage of you, and you know it and you let it happen, that's one thing. And for instance, there's, but we have the nonprofit up here. We have, and I don't want to name it just in case someone hears, but there's people who come in, and if they need something, we would give it to them, but they would prefer to steal it. And we know they're stealing it, and we let them. With that said, it would be better for their soul if they could stand up and ask. But because of the abuse that they have been under, they don't realize that when you ask, not only are you admitting that you need help with one thing, but you're acquiring the personal power to know that right now this is your limit, and so you need this help to step forward into your power. And once you can accept that you have a limit of what that is, what that abuse is, then you can move forward. A lot of abuse is because we don't feel worthy, obviously, in a lot of cases. Yours sounds totally different, but narcissistic. So with
Very.
that said, narcissism is actually mostly more prevalent in men than women, though unfortunately women are catching up in that area, which I thought was very sad. And to those passive aggressive comments, you guys all think I'm a really nice person, and I am, but I really, and I think it's because of the laughter that's always surrounding me with our little friends. So when someone in a group says something passive aggressive and snarky, I have stopped the conversation. And this happened recently. And I turned to the person, what was your intention with that comment? I mean, what were you doing? I mean, what was your intention? Can you explain it to me? Because you just made us all feel bad. So what do you want? You know, what are you doing? Because that's not how you acquire. That's okay. That's not how you acquire personal power. It's having our open, loving heart. But still, there's a divide between having that open, loving heart, and I guess, and your boundaries. And you can't go beyond those boundaries. But you have to admit that you have them. Just like I can't go skydiving. I just can't do it. It's just something I can't do. Other people can go skydiving. You know, we all have our limits. And if you can know those limits and accept them, don't be afraid of your limits. It doesn't mean you can't push and go on, and maybe it won't be a limit anymore. But it's just knowing where you are and who you are, setting up a boundary for yourself before you step forward. And always, the first thing you learn when you travel to any country, anywhere, is the first word you learn in that language emphatically is no. So when you travel abroad, the first thing you do, especially a third world country, you learn how to emphatically say no. And that's your boundary. So with that said, that doesn't mean that we don't have our Archangel Michael, who is the most compassionate of all, who teaches us every day with his sword on how to be compassionate, but let it go. So.
Great words. Thank you so much for your input. And there's a couple of things. So the line in this blog that sticks out and that I want everybody to hear: there is great consequence in the way we speak. We have a responsibility with the words we use. Those words can be weapons. And that's what I was sharing with my experience. The words were weapons, and they hurt just as bad as a fist punching you in the face. They hurt even worse than that. And they don't leave a physical mark, but the mark is on the inside that has to heal. And then the other thing that I wanted to address is the way that you really have to recover emotionally when you've been under an abusive situation, whether that's in any form, whether that's somebody that's abusing you through their words, through their physical acts, through the mental, the gaslighting. I went, oh my gosh, that was the most horrible part. One of the most horrible parts of this situation was the gaslighting. And if there's anybody that doesn't understand that word or that concept, it's one of the worst things that somebody can do to you.
I have no idea what it is. I hear it all the time.
I thought I was going crazy. I'm like, no, that's not the way it happened. So
I see.
To gaslight somebody is to make them think that something happened in a different way than what they remember it happening, or that there were events that happened that never happened. And that's what I was receiving constantly from this ex-spouse. It was like, just telling me story after story of things that had happened. We were together for almost 15 years. So there was history there, and trying to convince me that, I had done some of these things that I had never done. And I knew I had never done them. But then my mind starts to think, well, do I just not remember it? So this is part of the narcissism. This is part of the control, is to make you think that you're really losing your mind. And for just a minute, I doubted. And I'm like, do I just not remember it? And I would go over it and over it in my mind, and it will drive you insane if you allow it, because it's that pervasive and that's just manipulative. So that's gaslighting. If you didn't know that term, and maybe you've experienced it and you didn't know what that means. And I just want to see, I know we've had other comments. There's a lot of you saying that you needed to hear this today. There was a reason that it was written, that the angels are writing these blogs every night through me. I just sit and listen and write the words, and they know what we need in any given moment. They know what needs to be discussed, what needs to be brought forth. And Mansi, thank you so much. Mansi is typing out the words in Spanish as we're speaking them. I so appreciate you. Prachetta said, any kind of abuse leaves a dent on one's heart and soul. Self-love is most important. That's the healing part. We have to come back to our heart and go back into that self-love and self-care. And Annie says, I've been through different abuse in my life and my 2 marriages as well. Oh, Annie, I'm sorry that happened with you, but I know that you're in a good place now. I know that you're immersed in the love of the angels and this beautiful family that we have, the Angelic River family. And for any of you that are listening, and maybe you're not familiar with us as a group, we are a Facebook group called the Angelic River Family, and we'd love for you to be a part of that as well. We have a beautiful group monitor right with us, Deirdre Kozlowski, and Deirdre always posts uplifting, positive messages for us to turn to every day. Thank you, Deirdre, for what you do.
You're welcome. You guys are my family.
Yeah. And Isabel said, I needed to hear this message. Awesome. So Carmen, thank you for being here. She says, angels are always with me. And the angels want you to know. Yes, the angels always are working with us. They're always, like they were saying in this message, they're just right there. All we have to do is hold our hand out and they'll lead us right where we need to be. They are the best guides we can count on right now in this life experience, to let them bring us to safety. So I want to thank all of you for being here. Thank you, Deirdre and Jean, for your input. And thank you for holding my hand, because, you know, I've worked through this. It happened over a decade ago. And so I've had time to work with the angels and to work with my counselors and my masters and the angels. And it's something that does take time. So if there's anyone out there, you know, maybe you're still going through it or you've been through it in the past, please don't isolate. Just find somebody that you can sit and talk to, somebody that'll listen compassionately. We care. And if you want to be a member of our group, we are very open. All we ask is respect. That's all. Just come in and be loved and love us back. So thank you to everyone that came in. I'm here every day at 4:44 p.m. Eastern time, and it'll be a new blog every day. It'll be whatever they give us to chew on and be there for our best and highest good. That's what these messages are. So thank you. We appreciate you, and I appreciate Enlightened World Network for the platform, letting us come on there. And Mansi, I appreciate you for your group that we're streaming into that group as well. Thank you so much. We love you all, and we're going to leave you with namaste, y'all.
Love you, Mama P.
Oh, love you so much. Thank you. Stay in your heart.
And stay blessed.
Stay in your heart and stay blessed. That's our angel mantra. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone.
Bye.